last week, 6 games, Northern Colorado, Colorado Mines.
I think the guys did pretty well. You know, we had Division I Northern Colorado in, and we played real well, and then a good Mines club came to town. So run production wasn't where we'd like it to be against Mines. A lot of factors there, I think, but we pitched it well and played good defense, and we'll always take the wins.
Questions? Coach, looking ahead to this weekend, New Mexico Highlands, what can we expect out of them?
You know, we're actually in the middle of doing the scouting right now. They have almost a complete new ball club positionally. They only have one returning positional player, so we don't know a lot at this time. So we'll just assume they're going to be good and they're going to play us tough. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Last weekend, I know that the hitting struggles, and nobody really. You go through those.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just a case of a lot of games in a lot of days, and hard to stay mentally sharp at the plate.
Well, yeah, yes. I think all of the above. I think I don't think the midweek games helped us a lot. Playing Northern Colorado from a mental standpoint, and I think we had a couple of kids hit some home runs in that series, particularly the second day, and I think they continued trying to hit home runs as we started the series against Mines. And the thing about hitting is hitting can be contagious, and so can not hitting. And this weekend, I thought Mines pitched it well, so we have to give them some credit. I don't believe they pitched well enough to hold us down as much as they did. I think a lot of it was self-inflicted once we broke down the hitting film, and a lot of poor decisions, in different counts, what we, decided to attack. But those are things that, as you mentioned, they come and they go. Guys, sharpness is not always the same, and it's dependent upon, I think, a lot of things.
Are you, obviously, you're still kind of rotating some guys in and out. Is that something you want to continue to do, or do you want to settle in on, this is my first baseman, well, unless Borowski's going to pitch? That's kind of what you're running into.
Yeah, we're at a point, and I told the guys, we're looking for a second baseman that's going to hit and provide the defense we need. We're looking for stability in left field, and first base, as you mentioned, it's time to do that. So we're about a point where we're going to decide on some kids here real soon, and we'll give them a little stint to get something going. But I've always felt like you can rotate or platoon at two positions. Beyond that, I think it becomes a distraction and you lose continuity. If we can boil it down to just two of those positions, I think we're fine. More than two, you have too many guys checking the lineup card every day, and then you get into the issues of, I'm disappointed I'm not playing and all those kind of things.
Coach, kind of on that note, I know that there were some question marks about the rotation going into the season, just some spots to fill. I know that that's been a little fluid here and there, but kind of at the halfway point of the season, where do you kind of gauge your pitching staff as a whole right now?
Well, I think we're on schedule. They're doing about what I felt they could do. I think the good news is I think there's still more potential in there, and I think we'll still continue to figure a couple of kids out and where they go. We'll leave the rotation the same this week, except for the fourth spot. We're going to leave that open. It could be Taylor Prokopis again. We don't know. It could be Borowski if he doesn't pitch in the first three. It could be Ehlers if he doesn't pitch in the first three. I think we're a couple weeks from getting Nick Cardinelli back off the rehab of his arm, and he would be the natural choice and a dominant number 4 if we get him back. So the pieces are there. We just got to find out where they go. I think that Ehlers goes in the bullpen. I think that's kind of obvious. Borowski, I believe, goes in the bullpen. He was the number 2 starter at Cochise Junior College all year last year. So we know he has that starting experience, and we can go there if we need to. But this is what we're going to do for now and how we'll do it.
I would say the versatility that Ehlers has shown. He can be a spot starter. More in the bullpen, he can be a closer, he can be a long guy, he can be a short guy. That's something did kind of evolve through his career? Just the versatility of the relief role?
Yeah, it did, and he got derailed early because of his injuries. And, so that forced everything to get reset. And then he's been in the pen, he's started, we've looked at him in a variety of roles, but, at the end of the day, he's a kid that throws strikes. Teams generally seem to have trouble with him when he comes in ball games late. He actually just gives them a lot of trouble, more so than in a starting role where maybe, a team gets to see him, a guy 2 or 3 times. So it is something that's evolved, and I think we've arrived at that's a firm role for him pretty much. Unless, like in the example this weekend when we did Game 4 Open, if he doesn't pitch, we would use that as a way to get his innings.
Hurt has given you that nice, not really a bridge guy, but he's a really solid guy who's, in the bullpen for a while and you're trying to figure him out.
Yeah.
And he's really kind of stabilized that rotation, it looks like.
He really has, and he's been consistent. He's given us a great chance to win every time out. And, he's in the strike zone. He doesn't walk guys. He doesn't pitch behind a lot. It's easy to play defense behind him. And teams have had a difficult time, to this point at least, producing runs off of him. So, in those doubleheader format, the third game, the 7-inning game, he's a guy that has a good chance of chewing up 7 innings in fairly short order. And which can save the bullpen, obviously, and then he puts us in a position where, it's always nice to have a guy that you have a good chance at ending that Saturday on a good note, regardless of what happens in Game 1.
When was the last time you threw a freshman in your number 1 spot? Because I don't.
I don't think, I can't remember if TJ Gilpatrick, back in the late 90s, ever got to start. I think he got to start, but I would say there's probably not a good chance it was in the 1 spot.
Yeah.
So I would have to put Steve Wojtek, our program historian, on that and see if he could figure that out.
He's just a steady Eddie kind of guy. You don't, Tyler was saying, you kind of wonder how he's going to handle the week after the big week, and he was like, what was last week?
Right.
He just forgets them, just goes out and throws.
We told him to handle the attaboy, and he goes, I know, coach, and he's one of those kids. He's kind of in a way a Kyle Davis personality. He's pretty even keel, and I always worry about the player of the week kids the next week. You look at the players of the week from the other teams, and I love it when we're facing a pitcher on Friday night who was player of the week before. They don't win. It's hard for them to win for whatever reason. But he handled, as you mentioned, very well against a team that really wanted to beat us. And they were well aware, obviously, of how many kids they struck out, because they were short, they were spread out, and I think Jared had them going in, we may not win, but we're not going to strike out 15 or 19 times, and they didn't, so they battled.
Coach, you mentioned following the second UNC game that was the first time you'd really seen your team put away an opposing team, the way you wanted to see it happen. What changed in the Mayans game, and was that mentality talked about at all following the series?
Oh, yeah. I think the first thing you look to is the opponent's pitching. I thought they pitched well. I think we made bad mistakes. I think that it's normal for amateur athletes, especially college-age guys, to lose a little bit of focus. We were dealing with spring break last week. These aren't excuses, they're realities. We've addressed over the years. We go back and we look at our production clear back to 99 and what we've done on spring breaks. And it's a battle because, the kids get out of their normal routine. They stay up later, they sleep later. We do some things to combat that by getting them up and getting them in the weight room or whatever. But I think you have a lot of factors at work, and the first of which has to be their pitching, and then some of it's just the game. I think it's hard for the guys not to feel good when, they beat a Division I school, and even though we expected to, and as I say, when guys win, they got to handle the attaboy, and they walk around town or campus, and they get a lot of pats on the back, and everybody's telling you, hey, you're great, you're doing good, and, it's hard to stay sharp. It really is.
How do you kind of get them to refocus going into this next series? Kind of what's been your plan of attack with them?
We, today we're going back to some day one in the fall hitting fundamentals. just to, it's an old John Wooden thing. I mean, you go back to fundamentals, very basic things, get them refocusing on root level, baseline level stuff, and you kind of just reset things. So that's what we'll do today, and we'll continue that into next week. But we scheduled, for example, next week on our master calendar is back to, the next 2 weeks are back to fundamentals weeks. And it's always the same time. We feel like we've identified over the years where midterm, semester, spring break, guys are getting tired, school's getting to be a drag. And they tend to drop off and lose focus and start to cut corners. And an old friend of mine said, either you're coaching that or you're letting it happen. It's one of the two. And we make darn sure we're not coaching that.
You've also dealing now with, you're coming off 10 games, short week, because now you have to play Thursday down there. So basically you get, one full day of practice this week? And, does it change anything, or you just is this a way to get them fresh again?
Well, it lets you get them fresh a little bit. I suppose it's the reality is we got to deal with it. I would prefer one more practice day, but it's just one of those things that you have to deal with. New Mexico Highlands is dealing with a similar thing, although they didn't play midweek last week. We talk in our program a lot about being pliable and adaptable, because even when you get to postseason play, you might be in a night game that's supposed to start at 7, but you don't start it till 9 because of weather or extra inning games. And God forbid you lose, you might be playing at noon the next day after getting to bed at 1 in the morning. So we choose to look at some of these things as opportunities to maybe test our toughness, our resolve, or they're just challenges to overcome.
We've talked a lot about the embracing the close game, but the uncanny nature of this team, bottom of the 9th, bottom of the 7th, down 1 or 2, they just firmly believe that somebody's going to get the hit. Is that just this group of kids that obviously they bought into whatever you're selling?
Well, I think that the two things that we have as markers going into every series or every game that we try to measure is don't get out-competed, and we want to out-team people. And we're going to evaluate that at the end of the day. Did we out-compete them, whether we lose or win? And did we out-team them? And, I think, we boil it down to that. And I think that might help them. I think maybe we just have a bunch of procrastinators. I don't know. But they do have a competitive spirit, I will tell you that. I think that we'd like to see them, get on teams a little more throughout the course of the game. But the object at the end of the day is to win the game. And just because you're winning by 10 doesn't necessarily mean you're better than if you win by 1. And a win's a win.